The 110 gang has been terrorizing the southwest side of Syracuse for what police believe has been more than 20 years.
Gangs poison our communities with drugs and violence, taking lives, destroying families, and recruiting young people to perpetuate this tragedy.
But with this indictment unsealed, these 14 men face charges of conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, a gang believed to use violence to protect its territory, and blamed for 37 acts allegedly committed in Syracuse since 2012, including 2 murders, 6 shootings, 2 stabbings, and substantial drug dealing.
So on October 14th of 2015, we had a homicide at 148 Hope Avenue, and then shortly thereafter, in November the 10th of 2015, we had a homicide on 550 South Clinton Street. Both of these homicides we discovered was in connection with the 110 gang members. Each of the suspects were identified as a member of the 110 gang. So we called a truce trigger in connection.
The 110 gang, also known by the nickname Face Mob, in honor of slain member Daron Face Scott, has long operated as one of the most violent and entrenched street gangs on the southwest side of Syracuse, New York. The gang maintains strong control over a defined area stretching from Tallman Street to Onondaga Avenue and from Centennial Drive to Lincoln Avenue. Since the early 2000s, the 110 gang evolved from a drug distribution ring into a broader criminal enterprise involved in drug trafficking, credit card fraud, robbery, and violent enforcement tactics. According to a 2010 Department of Justice press release, the gang routinely guarded that territory and resorted to acts of violence to ensure that no rival gang members encroached upon their territory. That pattern of violence and intimidation became the hallmark of the gang's operations. On October 29, 2018, federal prosecutors announced a major RICO indictment against 14 alleged members of the 110 gang. Each was charged with conspiracy, which is designed to prosecute organized crime. The indictment covered a range of criminal activity committed between 2012 and 2018. According to the charging documents, the gang was responsible for multiple deletions, attempted deletions, robberies, assaults, and dozens of drug transactions. In addition, the indictment described widespread use of community firearms, shared weapons passed among gang members, as well as organized credit card fraud schemes used to generate income. The federal charges carried a maximum sentence of life in prison and were the result of a years-long investigation involving numerous agencies. Among the most prominent individuals charged was Anthony, a dog Hopper, identified by federal authorities as a ringleader within the 110 gang. In October 2019, Hopper was convicted at trial of RICO conspiracy, including the deletion of a rival in 2014. During his sentencing, the court found that Hopper had ordered and directed multiple deletions, shootings, drug sales, and robberies, making him a central figure in the gang's operations. In September 2020, he was sentenced to 385 months over 32 years in federal prison. Federal prosecutors described him as a dangerously evil leader of the gang. Another key figure was Yamar Spanky Long, who pleaded guilty in 2020. Long admitted that he drove the car from which Hopper opened fire in the 2014 deletion, and he also participated in drug distribution. Long was sentenced to 210 months or 17 and a half years in prison. Gretel Rennie Smith, a one-time member of the gang with a previous RICO conviction from 2011, also pleaded guilty. He admitted to stabbing another man during a gang conflict in 2017 and selling drugs. Smith received a sentence of 78 months. Norris Pep Kinsey, another of the 14 individuals indicted, admitted to drug trafficking, illegal firearm possession, and participating in at least one shooting on behalf of the gang. He was sentenced in November 2020 to 150 months. Rashawn Wormy Wynn also entered a guilty plea and received 92 months in prison. Wynn later appealed his sentence, claiming he played only a minor role But in 2024, the Court of Appeals upheld the conviction, pointing to Wynn's long-standing ties and activities within the gang. By the end of 2020, all indicted defendants had either pleaded guilty or, like Hopper, were found guilty at trial. Sentencing hearings for each took place between 2019 and 2020. Judges involved in the case emphasized the violent nature of the gang's conduct and the damage it caused to the community. Some defendants, like Wynn, pursued appeals, but those challenges were ultimately rejected by higher courts.